Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, American Warrior Wife. I just did a review for a wireless car charger. Not getting paid for it, not promoted or anything, but I was asked to do a review, so that's on there if you want to check it out. It is pretty neat. So I'm doing this in my kids' room. Still no office, but both my kids are sleeping, so I got some free time to do this, and I just set up in here to do it. I guess while I'm home on maternity leave and while everybody is home for this awesome coronavirus that's going around, I figured I would try to get started and get some of my videos going. Today I want to talk about the big thing while making the channel, and that is about PTSD. Surprisingly, when I talk to anyone about getting into this, and people who either haven't been through it or haven't known somebody going through it, they definitely never think of it with veterans. There is a lot of information out there, there's a lot of stuff on TV to try to teach people, but even family members I've talked to about it, they don't really understand the symptoms and the details of it, and they don't really know what to watch for. So PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. It is a mental disorder caused by a traumatic event that someone has gone through or seen. So PTSD happens to people who have been raped, abused, people who have been mugged, different things like that. My biggest thing is talking about PTSD with veterans, because I believe that it needs talked about more. It's not really well known, and I think it can be different when it's military related, because honestly the person doesn't always know that they have PTSD. I've researched and looked into a lot of videos where people come back and they're different, but they don't notice it. They have family members, spouses, friends that kind of have to tell them that things are a little bit different. And I've also noticed that some people who are in the military, they don't understand why they even have PTSD. They don't feel as if they were ever in any kind of event that affected them. They don't think anything bothered them. But the thing I see with that is when you go into the military, they train you. They try to sensitize your brain so that you can handle being around explosions, being shot at, seeing people get killed, and having to kill people. They're basically trained to be machines. And that's the mindset that they end up going into. Like, the stuff that they go through, the stuff that they see, and the things they have to do to people or go through is kind of normal to them. They look at things differently than we do. So stuff that would bother us, such as being at war, seeing it on TV, it doesn't affect them the same. Internally in their brain, it is, but they don't really understand that and know that. They come back from war, from seeing all that stuff, and they get out of the military and they're expected to live a regular civilian life. And their mind can't always handle that. So what does this cause? What are some of the symptoms? So PTSD, it can cause anger, anxiety, depression, insomnia, nightmares. People can lose their trust towards other people, and they can become self-destructive. So personally, and what I've seen other wives and family members have to deal with, is their veteran comes back and they rage out a lot. So something that would be minor to you or me, we would see it and they would kind of lose their crap about it. This can cause a lot of verbal, mental, and physical abuse towards another person. So they don't mean to, and a lot of the times after the fact of something they've done or said to somebody, they end up feeling guilt for it, and they realize that it was wrong, but in the moment of it, they kind of just black out, and it's kind of a instant reaction. It's kind of the flight or fight response, I guess. That's kind of what they learn to deal with when they're in war, just to quickly react to something. A lot of veterans have nightmares and flashbacks. With the nightmares, I mean, you or I, when we have a dream of something, we don't always wake up and remember exactly what happened, and that's the same with veterans. When they have a nightmare, they wake up and they don't really remember it, so they don't realize that it's affecting them because they don't realize it was even a thing. It can cause you to talk in your sleep and react in your sleep physically also. I have heard stories where spouses choke out the other spouse or hit them in their sleep, and they're kind of sleepwalking. They don't realize they did it, and they were in a dream at the same time, so they didn't realize it happened. With flashbacks, especially around like you've heard 4th of July with fireworks, fireworks can bring back flashbacks. It can sound like gunshots or explosions to veterans, and it kind of just, some people it's worse than others. Some people it just kind of quickly scares them and makes their mind go back there. Some people actually react in that moment and will jump behind something, grab a gun, whatever, think that they're actually in war. And see, that kind of stuff, it's not normal to us. It's not something that we see happening all the time or we go through. A lot of people become self-destructive. They do drugs and alcohol, so people become dependent, and then that causes a whole other issue where you have to try to get treatment and help for being dependent on that drug or alcohol. And those can also cause other effects of anger and raging out, depression, anxiety. It kind of just makes it all worse. And then your family members and spouses and friends have to deal with your new addiction. They do the drugs and alcohol to try to mask their pain that they have or mask the symptoms that they're having, because I've noticed a lot of the times that seems like it's the only thing that helps them. And I know a lot of people end up not getting treatment, and that kind of just makes your symptoms a lot worse and stronger, or you end up having more symptoms added on. So you could just have some anxiety and depression going on, and you don't take care of it, and that leads to a whole bigger issue. And even with your health, not getting this treated can cause stress in your body, so you can end up with sleeping disorders like sleep apnea. My husband, he actually has it and has to sleep with a CPAP. It can affect your heart, your brain, your memory, all kinds of stuff. Just stress on your body pretty much. It can even become physical, where you just feel physical pain and tired all the time. PTSD and what symptoms it causes is a huge reason to why there's so much suicides in veterans. They can't handle feeling that way anymore. They're tired of it, and there's nothing that they feel can help them. They also sometimes feel guilt for their brothers and sisters who have been killed in action, and they feel as if they shouldn't have gotten to come home. So they end up taking their lives. The treatments. So if you're a veteran, you know you have the option to go to the VA and talk to people there. A lot of people, like I said, don't feel like they need help. They don't realize they need help. And they won't try to seek it. But the VA does offer a lot of treatments and helps and options, medication, different stuff. Um, it's very hard for someone to even try to get better without some kind of treatment. And I've also heard a lot of cases that treatment doesn't fully help that person, and you kind of always have to live with this, but treatment does make things easier. It teaches you how to deal with everything, and even as a spouse, they have options to teach us how to deal with someone else's symptoms and how to react when they're going through a trigger, and to either calm them down or to step away to let them calm themselves down. Some of the therapies that the VA offers, and you can even go through your own personal counselor or whatever, but the VA does offer group therapies where you can sit with other veterans and talk. I do see a lot of vets that prefer that because they feel as if talking to a doctor one-on-one, that person hasn't been there. So a lot of veterans seek others who have been active to talk to, and even just as friends, I see it being therapeutic just to be able to talk about what happened over there, because you can't talk to a regular civilian about it. The VA offers one-on-one therapy. There's cognitive processing therapy, prolonged exposure, eye movement and desensitization, can't say it, and reprocessing. EMDR, I researched this a while ago and I told my husband about it and he thought it just sounded funny, but looking into it, I really think it seems to help. A lot of vets don't really want to go there and talk about certain issues. If they know what the issue was, they really don't want to talk about it. But EMDR kind of gets the vet to think about the issue, but they don't really have to talk about it. And literally, the doctor, counselor just waves their finger in front of their face, and the movement of their eyes, it does something in their brain to get them to desensitize that issue. So I thought that would be very therapeutic. I've been trying to get my husband to go for that for a while. But we just kind of, it's kind of an inside joke because whenever there's an issue, I just start waving my finger in front of his face. But they have the one-on-one exposures. They have conjoint therapy, which can be between two people. So spouses can go to this, and this is where the vet gets his therapy and the spouse, even a family member, can go. But it's kind of a therapy for both of you, and it helps the other person kind of learn how to deal with that one person's issues. There are inpatient, outpatient care facilities. There are retreats and camps to go to for weeks at a time. There are even brain zapping clinics. And I guess this is something new I've heard of. There's actually a machine. It's pretty expensive, but the VA will cover for you to have it. And I don't know all the details of it yet because I've just recently started looking into it, but it's something you put on your own head, and I don't know if it's when you're in a triggering moment that you do the brain zaps or what, but it's something you can do at home versus going anywhere and doing it. There's also the stellate ganglion block, which I just heard about also, and it is a nerve injection into your neck, like kind of close to your voice box, and it numbs the nerve, I think, that associates to your fight or flight. So it helps with a lot of PTSD symptoms also. So there are some scary treatments. There's normal treatments, just therapy. But there's still a lot that they're coming out with for treatments because this is such a big issue that people aren't able to get help for. And like I said, sometimes you get the treatment and it doesn't help anything. And even I had my husband, well, we decided for him to start doing therapy, and he picked which one he was going to do, and he went and did it, and eventually I'll talk more about what it is, but we researched a little bit, but we didn't research the side effect of it, and after he started going a few times, we noticed kind of a negative impact of it, and I started researching and talking to other wives, and found out that there's a lot of times that this treatment makes things worse before it gets better, and we're the ones who have to deal with it because they come home and they're just more triggered than usual and things are kind of worse. And so I kind of want to research and find out if people can get help from that one, but I know some of these, they have positive and negatives, so I don't know if after the negative if it will become a positive, but he's kind of stopped doing that treatment. We're looking at other options, different therapies, but that one was not fun at first. So like I said, some of these can help a little bit, but you might always still have a little bit of an issue, which is what sucks so bad about PTSD and the fact that people actually take their lives from it. Also, if you or yourself have suicidal thoughts, the number for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-8255. So please, before you even think about taking your life, give someone a call, get help, get options. Call a buddy. I know a big thing that they try to teach vets is to have, you have your battle buddy, you need your battle buddy at home too. If you're having a low point, you need to have a friend to call and talk to. I know sometimes it's not always the case, sometimes you don't stay in touch with people, sometimes you don't have them, so that's another thing too with going to the VA, with getting into like the group therapies, you meet people and you can contact them outside the VA. But yeah, that's what PTSD is, and I hope civilians and spouses can turn to this and kind of see some of the issues that they're going to go through and deal with for their loved one. And I'm not saying that this is everybody's case. Everyone's different. Some people go through things differently. Some people are affected differently and don't have these symptoms as bad. But this is just some of the tough things that I've seen, some of the stuff I've gone through. So I just want everyone to kind of know of the issues. But thanks for your time, guys. Bye.